Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and in this video we're breaking down House of the Dragon. The dance and dying of the dragons is a big part of the book, with it seeing a civil war brewing between the greens and blacks. Throughout this video, we're going to break down their dragons and talk about all 17 in the series. So sit back, strap in, and say Dracarys, because this is about to be your ultimate guide. Now for the first one, I want to talk about is a dragon we don't actually meet. However, we do see the skull of the creature, and he retains a big presence in the show. Like literally. That is Balerion the Black Dread, who used to belong to Viserys. We could see a statue of him in episode 1, and also the dragon's skull at the end of the entry. Alicent also gave Viserys a model of Balerion as a gift, so he could complete his nice little train set. Balerion's basically used to highlight the past and the legacy that the Targaryens have. It's fitting that Viserys tells of the prophecy in front of his skull, because initially Balerion was Aegon's dragon. Balerion was destroyed by a volcanic eruption which was known as Doom. This killed a lot of the dragons and completely wiped out the kingdom. At that time, Balerion had conquered most of Essos with the beasts, and they'd united them under one rule. However, when Valyria fell, they ended up having to go to it, which led into them taking the realm. Balerion was a key piece in conquering Westeros, and this is the perfect place to tell of the prophecy. As you can guess, the Black Dread was black, but it's also thought that his fire was as well. Born in Valyria, he was one of the biggest dragons to exist, and eventually he succumbed to old age. Viserys ended up riding him too, and he withered away and died. So it's fitting that we feature him in the first episode, and also that he had Viserys as a rider. Balerion represents an old age, as does the cat's paw dagger. Also, every time I call it that, someone kicks off, but yeah, just calling it that because that's what it became famous as. I'm old school like that. Now, alongside the Black Dread was also Vhagar, who's a dragon we meet in the series. Hatching on Dragonstone in the Century of Blood, Vhagar was named after a Valyrian god. Queen Visenya first rode Vhagar, and she too was a key piece in conquering Westeros. Vhagar then became the dragon of Prince Balon, who was one of Jaehaerys' sons. Balon was named Hand of the King, but when he was out riding, he complained of a stitch. Returning home, it said he died of a burst belly, which these days is called appendicitis. Had that myself, and yet not fun thinking about how I would have died when I was 25 if medical science was how it was in medieval times. Either way, this allowed Otto Hightower to come in and become the Hand, which laid the groundwork for the series. Eventually Vhagar was taken by Laena, with the dragon eventually killing her to spare her of her agony. At least that's what happened in the series. The book said Laena knew she was dying and she went to the dragon to ride her one last time. However, she ended up collapsing on the steps, and sadly the character passed away. It was then Aemond who conquered Vhagar on Driftmark, which took place after Laena's funeral. Aemond ended up losing an eye, but in the end he said it was a fair trade. And just in the same way Vhagar became a key piece in Aegon's conquest, she also became a key piece in the dying of the dragons. Killing Lucerys has upped the stakes of the civil war, because the rules are that you don't kill an envoy. This led into the son for a son arc, which would then lead into a big escalation of the war. Aemond did try and call her off, but it's clear Vhagar doesn't respect him. Maybe it's to do with her long life or all the riders, but yeah, she's still a bit of a wild card. Vhagar's going to do some big things in the show, and it's a standout dragon in the series. Now, who I do kind of want to touch on is who Vhagar ate, which was Luke's dragon Arrax. Aged just 14 when he was killed, Arrax was completely dwarfed by the giant. If we look at this diagram of all the dragon sizes, you can see how small it is compared with Vhagar. That's Vhagar up at the left, with the little Arrax right down at the bottom. So size matters, mate. Turns out it does, which my marriage is over. Now, due to Rhaenyra's kids looking very strong, it was suspected that Arrax wouldn't hatch. However, when it did, it cleared up some doubt, but come on mate, there's just something off about them. Anyway, Arrax kinda lets me segue into Rhaenyra and her family's dragons. Joffrey's one is who we haven't seen much of, with this being known as Caraxes. Who is a mainstay though is Syrax, with that yellow scale dragon belonging to Rhaenyra. This was the first dragon to appear in the show, with it taking us on a tour of King's Landing from the sky. Though it's smaller than a lot of the other dragons, it's more than capable of standing its ground. Described as a young dragon, Syrax stood up to Caraxes and later laid several clutches of eggs. This then allowed Rhaenyra to recruit dragon riders, with a lot of the later dragons springing directly from her. Syrax was a key cog in several of the assaults, including storming King's Landing. We won't get into spoilers beyond that, but Syrax is extremely important in this civil war. Now that is of course joined along with Caraxes, who sided with Rhaenyra alongside Daemon. Known for its large red appearance and high-pitched shrieks, Caraxes is a terrifying dragon. Now, Caraxes was one of the oldest dragons in the realm, with it being about half the size of Vhagar. Hatching from his egg in 72 AC, initially he was ruled by Aemon Targaryen. At the time, he was the heir to the throne, and Caraxes was considered the fiercest dragon. Nicknamed Bloodworm, he aided the fleet in the Fourth Dornish War. However, Aemon was shot in the throat with a crossbow, and thus he needed a new rider. That of course came in the form of Daemon, who claimed the dragon in 105 AC. Taking Mysaria and ditching King's Landing, Daemon ended up leaving for Dragonstone. The beast was used heavily in the war for the Stepstones, with the dragon later being at the forefront of the assaults. Later on, when Daemon wed Laena, Caraxes would join Vhagar in the sky. Flying over the free cities of Essos, the pair took their honeymoon to the air. Their tours apparently gathered massive crowds, but the pair were of course doomed lovers. Not to spoil what happens down the line, but Vhagar and Caraxes become bitter rivals. This is due to their riders hating each other, and yeah, Aemon vs Daemon going down soon. Now if you're excited for the show and want to show your allegiances, then definitely check out our House of the Dragon inspired merch right below the video. Whether you're Team Black or Team Green, we've got a t-shirt for you, and also our Dragons, Drama and Destiny shirt that we just launched last month. It all goes towards helping videos like this get made, and cheers mate, you bloody helped this video get made, so I appreciate it. Now we've touched upon Lucerys, but his brother Jacaerys' dragon is someone we haven't talked about. That is Vermax. Again, Jace went through all the rumours that his brother did, with there being huge rumours that he was also a bastard. Both hatchlings bonding brought a fraternity with the brothers, with them bonding together as well. Vermax was used to help Jace as an envoy, and he ended up travelling out to Winterfell. The cold didn't sit well with the dragon though, and thus they ended up going south. However, there were rumours that Vermax laid a clutch of eggs in the crypts of Winterfell, but whether this happens in the show or not, we're gonna have to see. Most people believe that dragons couldn't change sex, and it had always been thought that Vermax was a male. However, the book says determining the sex of a dragon is difficult, so we'll see if that appears in the show. Now, the more fringe dragons that get involved are who I want to tackle next. These include Rhaenys' dragon Meleys, who was born in 75 AC. The Scarlet Dragon possessed pink membranes on her wings. Because of this, she was nicknamed the Red Queen and was known for her speed and swiftness. Initially, she belonged to Alyssa Targaryen, who used to fly alongside her son Viserys. As we mentioned, he tamed Balerion, which was someone that she initially wanted. However, those in the dragon pits, they said she'd be more suited to a smaller and swifter mount. She's said to have strapped a 9-day-old Viserys to her chest and then took him out for his first ride. This is something that she also did with Daemon, with the pair loving being on dragons. Alyssa died during labour, and thus she was then tamed by Rhaenys. She'd often ride with Jaehaerys and even arrived to her wedding on the back of the beast. This is something she insisted on, with it apparently being a jaw-dropping moment at her wedding with Corlys. She was an extremely fierce beast in her youth, however come the show she has aged quite a bit. The book describes her as being very lazy, though it says she becomes ferocious when roused. Rhaenys ended up using Meleys heavily in the Dance of the Dragons, with her patrolling the waters of Blackwater Bay. She destroyed countless ships and was a formidable force in the war. Her son Laenor rode the dragon Seasmoke, who we saw throughout season 1. This silver dragon helped out heavily during the Battle of the Stepstones, in which he aided his father. Now in the books, when Laenor died, he died for real. The show had him faking his death, so he may end up returning. I really don't know though, but either way, Seasmoke didn't have a rider. He remained in Dragonstone for about a decade, until he was then claimed by a Dragonseed. I'm not going to spoil who this is, but in case you don't know, these have Valerian and Targaryen blood. These were the bastards of the kings and their sons who'd frequented the villages on Driftmark. This led to several people possessing the blood of the dragon, which many deemed as meaning that they could claim dragons. Seasmoke ended up being claimed along with another known as Sheepstealer. Sheepstealer was a wild dragon who would hunt sheep at Driftmark, and he'd often terrorize the farmers. Known as being skinny and brown, he was later conquered by another Dragonseed. There are rumours that the person who did that, who's called Nettles, won't be in the show, with them combining the character with another. That is Baela, who's now said to be the one conquering Sheepstealer. I am going to miss Nettles, as she's such a good character, but hopefully they combine a lot of her best moments with Baela. Baela did have Moondancer in the book, so I am a bit unsure what they'll do, but we're gonna see season 2 very soon. Now, Moondancer was extremely small, with it being no bigger than a horse. However, it was still strong enough to take to the sky and maintain a rider on its back. Now, there's also the dragon Dreamfire, who used to belong to Rhaena Targaryen. Hatched during the reign of King Aegon, she bonded with his first grandchild when she was 9 years old. Now, this caused some unrest in the family, as her husband and brother Aegon hadn't claimed a dragon yet. So it was embarrassing when she was riding one everywhere, whilst he could only ride a horse. Thus, Dreamfire remained in the dragon dragon pit until Vhaghar usurped the throne. Rhaena snuck into the dragon pit and took her dragon back, which is when Aegon claimed the dragon Quicksilver. Vhaghar mounted the Black Dread and the pair had a war within the house until it's said that Vhaghar died on the throne. It's rumoured that he was cut by one of the swords on the throne, which then eventually killed him. Dreamfire ended up laying 2 clutches of eggs and she remained with Rhaena until her death in 73 AC. There the dragon remained in the dragon pit until she then bonded with Helaena. Helaena doesn't really ride it in the show, but in the books she rode it from the age of 11. This was alongside the dragon Sunfyre, who belonged to her brother/husband. Yikes. Known as being a golden dragon, Sunfyre was then adopted into the Targaryen sigil. Upon Aegon II's crowning, the Targaryen symbol was changed to gold in order to highlight this dragon. Now things happened differently at the coronation in the books. Apparently Aegon mounted the beast and rode it around the kingdom for the people below. This wowed the attendants, with it making them enamored with the beast. Due to this and what we know in the text, Sunfyre has been described as being the most beautiful dragon ever seen. It had a formidable battle at Rook's Rest, which is a pivotal moment in the war. Now on top of this, season 1 also teased Vermithor. Daemon visited the caves below Dragonstone and there he sang to the beast. Come the time that season 2 starts, Vermithor's gonna be almost 100 years old. His egg was placed in Jaehaerys' crib, which happened in 34 AC. After Jaehaerys' death, Vermithor resigned himself to Dragonstone, where he remained for the next 30 years. That took him into being claimed by a Dragonseed, which will no doubt happen during season 2. Now the other dragons that reside here are the Cannibal, who as you can guess is 100% cannibal. There's also the Grey Ghost and Silverwing, with them all being dragons who the Seeds attempt to claim. Anyway, that's your rundown of all the dragons in the realm at this point. I'd love to hear your favourites in the comments below and let me know which battles you're looking forward to. I can't wait to see the Battle of Rook's Rest. Personally, it's a massive moment in the book and it kind of throws a big curveball as some dragons lose, some win, and yeah, it changes a lot of the dynamics. If you read the book, you know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, you're in for a good time. Now, if you've enjoyed the breakdown, then please drop a like on the video, and if you want to support the channel as a member of the Spoiler Society, then please click the join button. You'll get early access to videos every week, and it goes a massive way towards helping videos like this get made. We also have our Theory Time shirts and more generic ones right below the video, along with those House of the Dragon ones that I took before. We drop new designs on there all the time too, so definitely keep an eye out. Now, if you want something else to watch, you got a breakdown of the final trailer on screen right now, so definitely head over there right after this. Without the way, huge thank you for sticking through the video. I've been your host Paul, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.